On this week's episode of Fishing 411 TV, Mark and Jake Romanack host a two-part adventure set on the St. Clair River in southern Michigan. Mark and Jake kick off the show trying their hand at jigging some walleye in the upper St. Clair River near Lake Huron. In the second segment, Mark teams up with river outfitter Finn's Sport Fishing to target a much bigger class of fish. Sturgeon are a little-known prehistoric species that grow huge and call the lower St. Clair River home. Both adventures take place in the fall of the year when fishing opportunities are many and anglers are few.
There's one, Dad. This is so much fun. And when I think about walleye fishing in the fall, I think about jig fishing. It instantly comes to my mind because it is a lot of fun. And these fish just pile up in the river in the fall. You can catch a lot of fish. Not a bad fish. Not a bad fish at all. It's probably going to be one of the luckiest walleyes ever, because we've caught plenty this year. We really don't need any more walleyes in the freezer. But they're still so much fun to catch. Not a bad little fish. All right, we're gonna go ahead and throw them back. Good start. Well, the presentation we're doing today is called vertical jigging. And what is vertical jigging? It's exactly as it sounds. It's a jig and you stay vertical, which is easier said than done because we're fishing in current. And the boat moves faster than the jig moves. And so you have to have perfect boat control and keep the boat moving the same speed of the jig. We're fishing fairly deep water today, so we're using heavy jigs. This is a 1 ounce jig, and this is teamed up with some plastic, and this is just a split tail piece of plastic. And that fish actually came with a minnow tipped on there as well. So you have the scent and the action of the minnow teamed up with plastic, and that's the killer combination to get the fish. So we're staying perfectly vertical, letting the current take us down, covering water, and catching a bunch of walleyes.
Well, today we're fishing on the St. Clair River, and we're actually right where the St. Clair River joins Lake Huron. So we're at the top end of the river. And the St. Clair River runs about 40 miles long, and there's quite a bit of available water there. In fact, all of it is excellent jig fishing water in the fall. But it's not the only river you could target walleyes in the fall here in the Great Lakes region if you wanted. Nearby the Detroit River has a fall bite as well, so there's good fall walleye fishing in the Detroit River, and even the Saginaw River up by Saginaw, Michigan as well. So there's 3 great rivers that all have tremendous walleye fishing opportunities. It gets started in October and goes right up until the ice flies. Oh, it's an eater. I think I'm just gonna lift him, Jakers. Come to Papa. Woo, baby, that's about as big as one I'm gonna hand over hand there, but what a nice looking fish. Put that down there so we can see him. Good eaters. People are going to think I'm crazy for this, but we got a freezer full of walleyes at the Romanacks. Let's let him go back. Like I said, the Blue Water Bridge is right there. I mean, we're literally, a few hundred yards upstream of the Blue Water Bridge, but there's a lot of other good water on the St. Clair River as well. And the difference between fall fishing and spring fishing, if you fish these rivers in the springtime, these fish are here to spawn. They're on a spawning run. In the fall, there's also a run of fish that come up here but they're not spawning. What they're doing is they're looking for forage. And because gizzard shad and alewives and emerald shiners and other types of forage are attracted to the flowing water, the walleyes come in here as well. The bite in the fall is actually, in my opinion, better than the bite in the spring.
That's a pretty representative fish of the area. You know, if you're going to come to the St. Clair River, it doesn't necessarily mean you're not going to catch a big fish, because there are big fish in this system, but there are just a ton of this size fish right here, just a great eater size fish in this system right now. And so if you want to come someplace to vertical jig and get a lot of bites and really hone in your skills on becoming a vertical jig fisherman, it's pretty hard to beat the St. Clair River.
Well, we have the pleasure today of field testing a new product for Yakima. It's called the Hammer Time Jig. And Yakima Bait, of course, is very popular. They produce a lot of walleye related tackle, things like the Hammer Time spinners and spinning glows, of course, which people are real popular with as well, that use a lot. Well, now they've jumped into the jig market. And this Hammer Time Jig, we're kind of excited about it because they came to us and said, Mark and Jake, if you were going to build a walleye jig, how would you build it? And so we had the first prototypes here. They're going to be available in a 1/2 ounce, a 3/4 ounce, and a 1 ounce. So these are primarily going to be jigs you'd use in rivers. I believe you need to use a heavy enough jig to get the job done when you're fishing rivers. And what I mean by that is you have to easily feel the bottom. If you're struggling to feel the bottom, go to a heavier jig. So using these little bit larger jigs, the 1/2s, 3/4s, and even 1 ounce jigs, allows a person to be able to maintain that contact that they're looking for and to be successful, just like that, fishing on the St. Clair River. Catching walleyes early November. Oh, that's a good one, Jake. That is a good one. All right, back it goes.
Special considerations provided by Daiwa Corporation and Motor Guide. Fight fish, not your trolling motor. Special considerations provided by the Ultimate Sport Show Tour, Michigan's elite sport shows.
The fall walleye jig bite is largely associated with soft plastics, and there's a good reason for that. These fish are up here to feed, and so typically you don't need live bait. They're very aggressive. They're actively feeding. When it comes to soft plastics, the best ones are soft ones, and you need that softness in order to have the right action. We like one that's made by Z-Man. It's called Elastec. Not only is it very soft, but it's elasticy, it's very stretchy and very durable. They last longer than most other soft plastics. That's one of the reasons we like them. But the other reason we like them is because they come slathered right in the package with ProCure. Now, you've seen us talk about ProCure many times on Fishing 411. We believe in any time of year you're going to want to add ProCure, but particularly in cold water, early in the year, late in the year when the water's cold. If you're adding a ProCure scent to your plastics, you're going to catch more fish with them, and we're proving it today. Just absolutely knocking the snot out of them today on soft plastics mixed with ProCure. Need a net on that one?
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's a good one? Okay. Whoa. Get back this way if you can there.
There we go.
Whoa, lipped him. Whew.
Yeah, that's a little bit better fish right there. What a gorgeous walleye. I know we're going to say it a lot this episode, but these fish are here to feed, and if that doesn't tell you that they're not here to feed, I don't know what will. It's a 1 ounce jig, full plastic, right to the back of the throat. What a good fish, Dad. That's all right, I got a little pot of fish right here, Dad.
Well, that's a beautiful thing.
Not a bad fish either.
Oh, that's nice fish.
Yeah.
That's what we're looking for. Good job, Jiggers.
Another nice fish. Not giant fish, just great eater size fish, and in the fall, these fish are up here to do one thing, and that's feed, and you can see it just by their size. You know, it's probably a 17-inch fish, but just super thick, fat belly on there. That fish has been up here and been feeding for a while. So, and we're not done. We're gonna put him right back. So I gotta put this fish back so my dad can do an interview. Otherwise, we can't get any work done today. Here we go.
Here's a fish. You gotta love it when they bite on demand. Jake, I'm gonna need a little help with this one.
I'm just scooting for you, Dad. Nice fish.
We'll definitely take that. Get him out of there. Well, you know, as good as this walleye fishing has been, we're actually going to transition and we're going to go to the other end of the St. Clair River and we're going to do a little fishing for sturgeon. Stay tuned.
Special considerations provided by Trailmaster Boat Trailers and Lakeside Motorsports. Special considerations provided by ProCure, ruthlessly effective bait scents. Eagle Claw presents the 411 on Fishing.
Hey, we're just getting set up this morning, and I thought this would be a great opportunity to talk about a line counter reel that we've been fishing this season. Fishing 411 has been blessed to team up with Daiwa, and I tell you one thing, it's really made me super excited for a lot of reasons, but one product in particular, and let me show you what I'm talking about. This is the Lexa 300, and it's a low profile line counter reel. And I guess the staple of line counter reels in this world is a round frame reel, because pretty much that's what we've always had as walleye fishermen to fish. When I look at line counter reels, the very first thing I think of is durability. Is this reel going to last a long time? This Lexa 300 that I have in my hand is an absolute bulletproof reel. This Lexa body has been used for years as a low profile reel, and now we've added that line counter reel. It's a 7 ball bearing reel, and it's even teamed up with 22 pounds of drag pressure. This reel holds about 720 feet of line. So for a walleye guy, that's really all the line that we need. And one of the things I like about that is when I fish monofilament, I like to change the line out at least 2 times a year, once in the spring and once in the fall. And with a big round frame reel, we waste a lot of monofilament. With this smaller size reel, I can rip all the mono off, put another 720 feet of line back on the reel, and I'm right back in action. I'm not wasting nearly as much monofilament. You know, another nice thing I really like about this reel is the power handle. Check that thing out. When you're reeling in planer boards and fighting fish all day, that power handle really makes it a lot nicer. You know, if you're looking for a new line counter reel, maybe the last one you'll ever have to buy, you really got to check out these new Lexa series of line counter reels. And if you're a walleye guy, you're going to be looking at that 300 size.
Okay, so what we're doing here is we're taking this cut bait, whether it's suckers or whatever have you. We're gonna feather this thing on there. Every time you feather it, you want to push it up above the knot. We don't want the hook, you don't want the hook too cluttered up. You want it to have good gaps so you got plenty of room to hook the fish. You just want to keep feathering that thing up on the line until it gets up past that hook. And it doesn't have to look all that pretty, it just has to work. So what I'm doing is I'm pulling this bait up over that knot, and that knot's gonna hold it so that way it doesn't fall down to the hook. So what I do with this hook then is I put a trailer on there. So we'll take one of these little worms here. So while we're doing this, we're taking this worm and we're gonna use this as like a rudder. This is gonna go on the hook. This is gonna tease them right up to the bait. And we just wanna hook it a couple times, and you wanna leave that long. Leave it long like that so that way it acts like a rudder in the water. It'll stay nice and steady on the bottom. It's not gonna wander all over the place. It's gonna stay right in the zone where the fish are. Lastly, what we do is we put this thing in the water and we wanna look at it. We wanna make sure the thing's not spinning. If it's nice and steady in the water like that, that's what we want.
Let's talk a little bit about the biology of sturgeon. The sturgeon that we're targeting here are lake sturgeon. There's actually about 25 different species of sturgeon out there that folks can target. But here in the Great Lakes, we just really have this one. We have lake sturgeon. And historically, they have not done very well here in the Great Lakes. They were overfished commercially. Pollution really did them in, particularly, you know, after World War II, the 40s and 50s and 60s. But in recent times, things have gotten much better for the lake sturgeon. In fact, as recent as 2001, they started documenting that here on the St. Clair River and also nearby in the Detroit River, we actually have documented spawning success, and that's a good thing. And the reason it's a good thing is that sturgeon are slow-growing fish. How slow? They don't even reach sexual maturity until they're 10 years old. That's amazingly slow. Most fish reach sexual maturity 2, 3, 4 years into their life cycle, so it takes a long time to grow sturgeon. Which brings up the question, how long do you think these fish live? Well, 50 years is considered an average, so they can live much longer than that. They're some of the longest living fish that we have in the Great Lakes. You can keep one if you wanted to keep one as a trophy or to eat it, but our intention is to let these fish go. I just don't have the heart to kill a fish that is my age or older. That just, I just can't do that. It's just, to me, it's something special about letting them go. So every fish we catch today is going to go back to fight another day. Literally, have we been here 5 minutes? I don't think we've been here 5 minutes. I get all the rods in the water yet. We'll get some gear out of your way here, Anthony.
And I gotta reel this thing in. I don't get to reel them in much anymore.
There you go.
If you can keep the close lines in, you want to do that because they'll come up in schools. Not necessarily 50 or 100 fish, but you'll get packs. You might have 4 fish, 6 fish, 8 fish, 12 fish in a pack that come up at once. So if you can, you always try to keep at least one other line in. They just never give up. They go from one side of the boat to the next, and then once you think you got them pretty much done, they're right back at it again. You can have this thing up to the boat 3, 4, 5, 6 times. Think you're done, and then nope, he's back at it again. Oh yeah, he's tail wrapped. So, holy cow, that's a big fish. All right.
All right, so how do we deal with this? I'm assuming you're going to hand the rod off and you're going to run the cradle, I'm guessing.
No, what we're going to have to do is I can't pull this fish in backwards. It'll never work.
Okay.
So what we want to do is I'll hand the rod to you, and I'm going to swoop the line underneath his tail. So that way it goes back normal, right from the mouth. So what happens is they get down there and they roll in the line like an alligator would. So we just need to get him up to the boat. We're gonna flip the line around the tail, and he's probably gonna freak out. So
I'm just guessing that things are gonna get a little crazy.
Yeah, he's gonna probably freak out.
As you said.
There was his meltdown.
There's the meltdown. Well, it was real nice of you to bring him in the hard part. Let me have the fun part here.
Yeah, that wasn't the hard part. Now it's the hard part.
Look at that bend on that rod. Come on, baby.
So just keep that rod tip in the air too. That'll maybe stop him, and just watch, because he's gonna go everywhere.
Holy smokes. Oh, baby. Listen to that drag, just sizzle. Ooh, baby. It's a 40-pound braid in a downrigger rod, and I'm putting literally every bit of pressure I can put on that fish right now, and he's just going where he wants to go. We're gonna get a good look at him here. Look at that. If that doesn't get your heart go pitter-pat, holy hugeness. Look at the size of that thing.
Just kind of bring him right to me, right like that. Pull your rod towards the front of the boat.
Whoa, he got the best of me there.
All right. Not how I wanted to do it.
Look at that. Now we're talking. Oh.
Ready? Here we go, buddy. 1, 2, 3. Beautiful.
I am just absolutely tickled. That is just so cool. I mean, I've been in Great Lakes my whole life, you know, and I've caught multiple sturgeon by accident. That's the first time I go out and actually do it on purpose. Thank you very much. That's so cool.
Not a problem. Let's get him back out and get another one.
All right.
We need a bigger one now.
Special considerations provided by Eagle Claw, the only fish hooks made in America. Additional considerations provided by Fish Hawk Electronics. Trolling without a fish hawk is called boating.
Oh, you got that one.
I got that one. So anytime you get bites out here, it's always a good thing. Whether it's catfish, sheephead, always seems like these fish tend to roam with each other. So if you get fish like this, chances are there's not a sturgeon. There's sturgeon not too far behind. This is a heavy fish. He has no clue what's going on yet. He's just swimming along.
He's going to get educated here in a second.
Kind of want to pay attention to what's going on around you. You start hearing some fish jumping, and a lot of times it's indication of these fish starting to get active. What'll happen is they'll go through spurts. You'll hear literally nothing. It'll get dead quiet. And you'll just see no action in the rods whatsoever. Then all of a sudden you'll hear a couple fish jump, you'll get a couple catfish bites, and boom, just like this one here, you wind up hooking into a sturgeon.
So this is the first week of October. When do you start targeting these fish, and how late in the season do you fish for them?
The season opens up July 16th here. I don't specifically start targeting them until September 1st. 2 reasons. One would be the boat traffic. The amount of pleasure boat traffic out here just gets very ridiculous. You can't even stand up in a boat on a calm day. And then the second would be the bugs. Once you start getting into nighttime, okay, you start using these lights, and it's just not worth it.
Talk about a little drama. There we go. Beautiful
Power.
Fish. Well, I guess it's nothing more than just to be patient and let it happen.
And that's what it is, because you never know. This could be the biggest one you've ever caught in your life.
What is the biggest one you've ever caught in your life?
70 inches.
Well, that's a good fish. That's a high quality fish. Okay.
Yep, just kind of put it sideways in the water. Kind of hold it out of the water. I'm gonna pull the fish to it. You're just gonna dip the end in. Just kind of want to hold it out this way.
Okay.
Yep, hold it sideways right towards the boat. Okay. So that way when I bring that fish in, you're just gonna dunk it in, scoop the fish up. Perfect, close it up. Excellent first job. That was about perfect.
Look at that. We got us a sturgeon. Holy smokes. Lay him down here gently. Now that fish will fill the frame, I'm telling you. That one's such a clean fish, no lamprey marks on it. What a beautiful, beautiful specimen.
Let's get him back in the water here. See ya, buddy.
Well, I'll tell you, it takes a little patience, but is well worth it. If a person hasn't done this, this is something they really want to check out.
Yep.
So.
Thanks for coming out.
Hey, it's been my pleasure.
No problem.
Hey, my name is Mark Romanack. You've been watching Fishing 411. I hope you had a good time learning a little bit about Lake Sturgeon.
Closed captioning provided by Lakeside Motorsports, Michigan's premier marine and power sports dealer. Fishing 411 is brought to you by Offshore Tackle Company, Evinrude Outboards, Starcraft Marine, Cisco Fishing Systems, Yakima Bait, Jay's Sporting Goods, Niagara Falls, USA, Smooth Move Seats, Lowrance Electronics, and by Precision Trolling Data.
Anthony, the problem is that we're walleye guys, and this is our idea of a tape measure. I'm not going to measure up for you today, I don't think.